feel. Where what's coming is better than what's gone. Buy some art for your home, the art that speaks to your soul.
Hello everyone. This is the Heal Field. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, of course, so that way you can see more of my content, my art, and just my journey. So I am here to talk about the fact that I was charged $70,000 in 8 days for being in the hospital. And there was a lot that went on, but y'all, it's not like I checked myself into there, but I needed to go because I was passed out. And I was passed out for some days. And it took so much for my spouse, for my husband to deal with, as far as like seeing me in such a state, not being able to get me out of that state. I was sick before, I wasn't getting better, I was really dehydrated and just had a lot going on. So when I went into the hospital and I actually woke up a couple days later, I was on a few different things, but most of it was just to get me back hydrated and to get, my pressure all normal and things like that. And so there were all these different people and different tests, constant blood tests and things like that, just to make sure that I was okay. And I really am appreciative to a lot of the staff at the hospital, doing what they could to make me feel comfortable. But then there were other people who just weren't the best, like not telling me what was actually going on, even though I was fully cognizant and, aware. Like, I didn't know that some of the people who were duplicates of one another, as far as what they did, like they were doing the exact same physical therapy or something like that, and that they were charging each time. Like, no one was saying any of that stuff, and they just had so many of the same people coming and things like that. I would have said no to so much of it, because at the end of the day, if they're doing the same things, it's just duplicate charges, things like that. Also, I had one nurse in particular who, my veins are really small, so they're harder to find. And even after explaining that, some people were just so impatient. Like, one lady, she was ready to just stick me so many other times. I still have like bruises on my arms and things like that. Yeah, from being stuck and them trying to find other spots instead of just taking the time. One of the nurses, she was so sweet, but she did my hair, and I don't know why I did not think about what this lady was putting in my hair. She did pigtails, and I was already kind of dehydrated and things like that. And then I found out later it was an alcohol-based product that she put in my hair. And so you can kind of see over here, but you can especially see over here. So my hair is still growing back from that. Like, a lot of it came out from the pulling of the ponytails that it was in. So that was pretty traumatizing, because I've always just had so much hair, and to see it come out in whole handfuls in the areas where it was pulled back was really traumatizing to me. And then the diet in there, what I was surprised on, it just really wasn't very, everybody kind of knows, okay, food is not going to be the greatest, but it wasn't good. Like, too many sugars and things like that to be given to someone who's having any issue with sugars and carbs and things like that. And if someone is telling you basically that your body is having trouble with too much insulin at the moment, so insulin resistant, and someone is like giving you constant carbs, but then they're giving you constant insulin, that's like a death sentence. And I was so shocked that that was the case, but that's exactly what was happening to me. And I was getting weaker and weaker over the days. By day 8, I could not even really hardly get out of bed. I could hardly lift my legs to move. I had gotten so much heavier in the hospital. Like, I ended up gaining so many pounds in the hospital. It's so weird. It's like my muscles kind of turned to mush. And when I spoke about, some of the things that were happening and was really just thinking over, like, hey, I'm not getting better in here. Like, I'm not able to do workouts or things like that I need to get my body better to where I don't need any of this stuff. I'm not going to be able to lose, weight in here, things like that. They were just wanting to kind of keep me in the hospital. But here's the thing that really bothered me. The night before I decided to check myself out of the hospital, I was stable, but I was fully stable. And they were ready to either check me out. The doctor had told them, I'm good, I'm ready to go, I'm stable, I'm fine, to let me go. And that was days earlier, and they didn't do it. They said that they wanted to, some nurses said they wanted to look some more. I respected that. And so I stayed. But the night before I checked out of the hospital, I wasn't hooked up to anything. Like, they disconnected me from everything. And it's like, oh yeah, they want to do some checks and see. But I never got connected back to anything the next day. And some of the nurses that came in after for the morning, they were really shocked that I was even still there if I wasn't connected to anything. They're like, why aren't you gone? Like, literally the nurse came in that morning and said, you're not gone? And I'm like, no. But by then I'm pissed because all of this stuff is adding up and I'm not connected to anything, and I'm not hearing anything except for she's good, let her out of here. And so then I started asking about being, let out like I was told I would be, and I was told that, hey, there's going to be delays. Plus, there was a test that I was supposed to be able to take, and I was waiting days for this test, all for them to keep on delaying it, and there not to be a clear reason as to why. So I was, these were building, and I was better. And I wasn't able to, like I said, just freely keep on moving around there. And I was like, okay, this is getting stressful. That's not going to be better for me, getting better and being 100%. So I was like, I would like to leave. And they were like, oh, if you leave, you're just going to come right back. And I'm like, I don't think so. Doctors have checked me several. For my heart, they looked at it. It was great. There was no signs of any of the stuff that there was at first. So I'm like, the food isn't good. The service is horrible at this point. The last test they wanted me to have that I was waiting patiently days for isn't coming, and they're not going to do it. And they're like making delays, and they went home for lunch early the day before. I was like, I'm going to go home. And then all of a sudden, what disturbed me about the hospital visit is when I said that, they said, okay, right? But then after, there's this chart that you can see on your phone. They were running tests like crazy, but they had already run tests for days. So it felt like almost like a vengeful type, I'm just going to run as many things as I can. And they found nothing because they had already run these tests. So then I was furious, but at the same time, I was just trying to be even because, I don't know, I'm just a really even person. I wanted to go, but at the same time, I wanted to go along with the protocol that they had out there. It's kind of hard when it's like, you want to follow the rules, right? And you want to be a part of helping yourself to get better, right? Because you're still in this situation, but at the same time, I realized if I don't say something, they're just going to keep on piling things up that I've already done in 5 different ways. And it's not going to stop. It was so traumatizing, honestly. That was more traumatizing why I was like actually there at that point. I was very thankful for being hydrated with the IVs and stuff like that, and for the opportunity to, essentially wake up on my own I was happy to be able to meet some of the people that I met some really sweet individuals there. But seeing all those tests like add up like that really quickly, and having some people come be really rude. I had one lady tell me you could just drop dead at any moment. It was a doctor, but it wasn't true at all. Like, all these doctors had told me I was doing well, doing great. She hadn't even touched to know anything about me, right? And she was saying that because she wanted me to stay. And so it was really messed up that she was willing to abuse her power. And when I said very simply, do not speak to me that way. Like, I don't know you, but don't speak to me that way. She like ran into the door on her way out of the room. And, the nurses ended up kind of laughing at her because she just made a fool of herself. It was so ridiculous. And unfortunately, though, she was the one who someone told to write a prescription. She wrote a bad prescription for me. So then CVS filled it anyway in the way that they could, right? So with their generic products. But she wrote something that didn't even exist anymore. And the way she wrote it was in a way that it's like she knew I was self-employed. So she did it in a way that would cause me to have to come back to them or to get one of their doctors or a doctor. It was just, what was more messed up is when I saw the bill. Because the bill before I left was like $2,000 or so. But when they started running all those tests, the bill by the end said like $70,000. And I was like I said, if they had asked, some of the things were just so basic that were being done, like looking at these cards and saying what was happening on cards and things like that. And at first, fine, cool, but I don't need the person to come every day and do those same cards, right? I don't need 4 physical therapists. I don't need all of those things. And so when I ended up walking out on my own, the best part was honestly when I was able to walk out of there on my own. I decided to get dressed and sign the AMA because there was just no way I was going to continue getting better. But also, the last thing, I was on this council call and someone told me, whatever you do, don't do keto. And looking back, that's what made me look into keto. So that's why I'm now. Because my husband looked into it because it was just such a weird thing for a counselor to say out of nowhere when I wasn't doing keto. I wasn't doing anything like that. I was consuming a lot of regular carbs, not realizing that could add to trouble in my body with insulin resistance and things like that. That's when we actually started doing keto research and liking what we found. I'm keto now. I'm so much lighter. I feel better in general. And it's fantastic, but it's just really messed up that someone would tell you not to do something and tell you to eat a lot of carbs and tell you you're insulin resistant, which my body still makes insulin, and to tell me to take a bunch of insulin even though my body makes it. You realize that the system is really messed up. And so though I'm not like hurt over the situation anymore, and so angry over the situation anymore, it was just really scary. It was when you are in something and you're expecting all these folks to help, but they're doing things that help medical pockets, but they don't help you. And then I'm not having to take anything, and I'm so much better now, and my numbers are lower, and there's so many things that I've gotten to incorporate as far as like fasting and keto and working out. And I didn't know that if I changed a few things that I ate, that it would change my whole life. Like, people tell you that in theory, and I eat salad and stuff all the time, but people don't tell you how much sugar is in things, and you just don't know it. It's in everything. So when you change even like what you're putting in your coffee and things like that, it can change your life. And it's changed my life in a short amount of months. I mean, I lost like 50 or so pounds. Yes, I have a picture too. I will show you guys in some later video. But it's just important for me to come on here and say this because maybe you've had a hard time at the hospital. Maybe they scared you and told you something, like one of the doctors said something concerning my heartbeat, but I found out that it wasn't too high, and another doctor said, oh, your heartbeat's so normal, it's fine. But she scared the crap out of me. I thought I was just gonna fall out and die, because another lady told me that, but they also wanted me to stay in the hospital. It was a different hospital I was referred to by this lady, and I'll tell that other story later, because I had gotten spooked of them saying that I needed to go back and things like that. I thought I needed a prescription from them and all this stuff. It was crazy. And I'll talk about that. But seriously, if you had trouble with the hospital, if you had miscommunication with the hospital, if people haven't asked you things and you're fully cognizant and aware, if you've wondered about like diets that they've told you should definitely be on, and I have books of them telling like how many carbs I should eat. There's a lot of freaking carbs. And it's disgusting that I was told that, but in reality, I needed that calorie deficit to be able to essentially put off the extra weight, which was causing a lot of my issues. And I don't have those issues. Like, I'm not on medications or anything, so it's not like I'm telling you this stuff and then I'm on 10 things. But yeah, talk to me about it. And 70K in 8 days is no joke. So I'm still going to be, doing things with my business to help get that stuff away from me and away from my credit. But what's your highest bill been for the hospital? I saw someone saying that, pregnancy, it was like a day or two, and they got 50K. So yeah, these bills are real life. But with that said, have a great day, y'all. I know I am. Got my little, makeup happening today. My hair fixed up today and stuff, so I'm intentionally having a good day and getting dressed for a good day, and I hope you are too. Bye.